Welcome to Bay Area Sports Report, and we're going to be talking about Day 11 of 49ers training camp, joint practice with the Tennessee Titans. So, today's training camp was very fiery, a lot of fights earlier, a lot of fights, a lot of depth charts, a lot of injuries, as you can see. So, there's a lot to get to, so let's get right into it. So, let's start off with the fights that I mentioned earlier, as the 49ers have gotten into 4 or 5 fights already biggest as they as the biggest scrum prompted by Ronaldo Greed hit stick on a receiver, couldn't see who Cam Ward had to be held by teammates well after dispersed. Second one was Ward way behind Tate on a throw over the middle. Niners defender pops Tate anyway, as if it's trying to knock them out of these boys. Every play definitely tone setting. 4 scrums in first 10 minutes of 49ers Titans joint sparring match. One started by Ronaldo Green, hit on Wandale Robinson. Titans boot Austin Drukless. Upton Stout very involved and angry in the Titans offense for 1 or 2. Beyond that, it's been chaos. First play shoving match. Drake Greenlaw destroyed a blocker to blow up a sweep and fight. Chaos took over on the next play after Ronaldo hit Wandale Robinson. Another fight, 49ers defensive tackle Osa Digizua versus defensive Titans defensive tackle Dan Moore. So as you can see, there were a lot of fights earlier. A lot of them were settled down though. A lot of them were rejected with the Titans players, except none of them were Niners, which is very interesting, kind of. So I find that interesting also. The offense, let's talk about the 49ers offense. As you see, Mike Evans is back with the 49ers. I'm glad that he is back with them. It's just good to see him out there. He wasn't participating right now, but he was out there on the field. So he watched Dejon Stribling and Demarcus Robinson and Debo. As you know, the 49ers offense with um Debo and others, as Brock Purdy was dominating in red zone drills, even without 2 of his top receivers, his top tight end, his top running back, and he still did good, which is very good for Brock Purdy. I'm excited that he's doing this without his weapons. It's exciting to see that he is doing very good. He's having a great training camp, along with Debo Samuel, who scored 3 touchdowns on the Tennessee Titans, which is just incredible because we need that, especially if we need some signs of Debo scoring a lot. Dejon Stribling had some good catches too, even performing outperforming Carnell Tate, which is kind of a bad thing. Here's Mike Dunn leaving in the Warriors also, but which is kind of a bad thing, especially for a fourth round pick who's supposed to be very good, who was very picked up. But Dejon's dribbling 7 to 11 of his passes. He was very good. He was a good receiver. He's gonna be very good along with Debo and Mike Evans. I think he's gonna have a lot of snaps. He's not a red zone target, but he can develop into that. So can't wait to see that. It's just a lot of high praises for Dejon Stribling. He's just been absolutely amazing. Even when he missed time with a little bit of injury, he's still getting talked about on being so good, which I love that, and I think it's awesome to see him doing so good. Demarcus Robinson also had a solid camp too. He was able to catch some passes. He was a good, solid boundary receiver, red zone target. So he's been very solid for the team. He's also been the most healthiest receiver, which is actually surprising since he's 31 years old. And surprisingly, Jacob Cowing is very younger than him, and yet he's had an injury, which is kind of strange. But hey, I like that he's doing good on that. Jake Tonges also was very good. He took over for tight end 1, got a lot of catches. Was that safety blanket that was kind of like that for Christian McCaffrey? He is going to be that safety blanket for Brock Purdy, and I think it's good to have him on that. I think you can use when George Kittle does come back. I think when you have him, I feel like it's a good thing to add them together. Like you can have two tight ends, and like if Kittle's not open, he's like, all right, I'll go to Jake Tonjes. I think that would be kind of nice to see, along with Christian McCaffrey too. Then you have like three options as your safety blankets, which is like three safety blankets of George Kittle, Jake Tonjes, Christian McCaffrey, and then you have three of those guys, which is gonna be kind of nice. Like who's gonna stop that? Like I think that is just a very nice and smart move for the 49ers. So I would do that if I were them. So, but Jake Tonjes had a great camp also, so it was good to see him out there. So that's kind of good. Christian McCaffrey was not in pads, but he was working out early in warm-ups, so that's at least something to look at. So that's at least good to see that for the 49ers. As for the 49ers released their depth chart for the preseason openers, as you can see here for the 49ers. So it looks like it's going to be Mike Evans, Demarcus Robinson, Debo, which is kind of a bit of an interesting one, I have to say. But I'll get into more of that. I'll talk about that a little bit later. Here's DC Robert Saleh and Raheem Morris. Here's Cam Ward getting ready for practice. Here's George Kittle with Solomon Thomas, the former first round pick. Titans near the substation. I don't know if there are any injuries from the Titans, but hope we'll have to see on that. Here's Robert Saleh and the Titans arriving for the next to the substation. Here's Fred Warner and Robert Saleh. And then Fred Warner also was knocking down Titan players, so it's nice. So I think he's glad that he's hitting people who are like not his teammates. So I think he's happy on that, which is kind of strange, which is kind of interesting. But I mean, he hasn't hit in a while, so I can't argue with him. If I was in his shoes, I would do that too. So I can't argue with him. So it's good to see him there. Fair that there's also more injuries. Also, the next one I want to talk about, Jair Brown picked off Cam Ward's pass. He's been showing out on training camp. And then, so I don't know about that. Like, I like Jair Brown. I've been a big downer on Jair Brown, mostly because he's not good at long coverages. He's not good at red zone, but he is good at breaking down passes. And I guess I don't mind him starting. All I want from Jair Brown, and I've said this a lot, is I just want him to just play good defense and at least play good coverage on some of those plays, stop those long runs. So that's all I want overall. So I don't hate I don't hate Jair Brown, but I just feel like he just busts his coverages and isn't and he's like talking to himself like he's a top five safety. Like I don't like that. Like you're in like you only like started and you like win one Super Bowl and then you're like, oh, I'm the best in the world. Like, no, it's not that like that. You have like one good season. You have to keep earning that and keep doing that. Like, that's what I don't like about Jair Brown because he just thinks that he's like a top five safety and I just don't think he is because I can name five safeties who are just like way more better than him. But maybe if he like gets better in like 2 seasons or three, then maybe they'll start. Maybe he'll do. Maybe I'll say that he is. Maybe. So, but anywho though, also Digizua was also good. Was dominating Titans practice. Ripped through for a sack and grabbed Cam Moore's shoulder pad, leading to another fight for Dan Moore Jr. and J.C. Latham. Also, most starters will not be playing, which is no surprise. Like I think it's best to keep them healthy. And then Cam Moore chatting up with Brock Purdy. As for Nick Bosa, or actually, as for Nick Bosa out with soreness, and Christian McCaffrey tightness are both out for joint practices. We have more information on that, as Nick Bosa, who is returning from a torn ACL, is now considered week to week due to tendonitis in his surgically repaired knee, per Kyle Shanahan. Which is not exactly a good thing. And it's just sad to see that for Nick Bosa. It's just tough for him to see, and this is just like the same tendonitis like that kept McCaffrey out of like 8 games, and that's just sad to see that, and it's just disappointing to see. I mean, hopefully it is week to week, but we've heard this story before. And then McCaffrey also has like soreness, and he was hopping around the field like doing some high steps on the field like on the side, but we've seen these tendonitis things before, and those kept him out of a lot of games. This was going back to 2024, like I mentioned, with Christian McCaffrey having to save Achilles tendonitis, and then he was just out for 8 games. Like he came back, and then he got injured again, and he never played anymore after that 2024 season. And it's just disappointing to see. I think McCaffrey, I'm not worried about more, not worried a lot about, maybe just a little bit, but it's just something to monitor. I think I am a teeny bit worried, but not that much though for McCaffrey. I feel like he is okay, but I think they're just conservating him right now. As for Nick Bosa, I am very, very highly concerned about Nick Bosa because he's that pass rush for the 49ers. It can't just be, oh, let's stick with Romello Height and Osa and Alfred Collins and Sam Okuwano. Like, no, that's not gonna get the job done. Like, that's not gonna get a pass rusher. Like, sure, Osa is a good pass rusher. I won't get that wrong, and Romello is too. But they aren't Nick Bosa, and that's a bit of an issue. You have Nick Bosa being that presence. He gives you that presence when he's on the field for that D line and he gets that pressure. It gives those guys like Michael when he comes back, Keon White, Osa, Okuwanu, Romello, Halton, Collins, West. It gives those guys chances to like sack the quarterback. But without him though, you don't have that chance to be able to get pressure and be able to sack the quarterback. And then Matthew Stafford or Kyler Murray or Sam Darnold will have like so much time to throw the ball to their receivers, and that's just such an issue. Now, the question is, should they trade Bosa? I mean, it is hard, but I think they might have to at this rate because it's just such an issue right now, and I mean, it is sad to see trading Nick Bosa away, and don't get me wrong, I think Niners are having a hard time to trade, but he's having the same ACL thing, and this has never happened before in his career. He's never had this Achilles tendonitis. He always has like Achilles tear, and then he just comes back and just does good, but it's just not looking good for the 49ers, and he had 3 ACL injuries, and that's just such an issue, and it's just hard to come back. At this rate, they might have to just trade him for Crosby. And sure, Crosby has injury issues, but at least he's practicing at least. So I would probably trade Bosa at this rate. It's hard to see that, but what else are you supposed to do? Like, there's nothing else, but who knows? Maybe we'll just have to monitor on how that goes. No. But as for some other players, Ronaldo Green was also very good. Gave up did some pass breakups, was able to lock down receivers. So even though he makes like some mistakes in like training camp, I think he makes up for it on showing it off in the season. And I think he's gonna be a very good player for I think he's gonna be very good. I don't think he's gonna like bench. I mean, if they I talked about this earlier, like if he doesn't do good, like if they did want to trade him, then I would suggest to like have him do good and then trade him. But who knows? Maybe I don't know. I feel it just like I feel better to just keep him as that CB2 along with DeAndre Noir. I think he's been very good. He's been able to lock down wide receiver ones in the season, especially Devontae Adams, who I saw last season, and it's just impressive for him to be able to do that. As for Jacob Robinson, he's been very good. Was able to pick up. He was able to get some breakups. I think he had one pick. So he's not gonna make it to the roster because you have Jack Jones, you have Nate Hobbs, you have Ephesians Pricesock, but I do believe he can make it to the practice squad because the people behind him, like Darrell Luter Jr. is a nobody. Saron Neal is okay, but he's not exactly the best. So I think he has a chance to just make it to the practice squad. So he's been very solid. Jaden Duggar, who was part of that 5-man front, who was an edge. D'Amico Ryans used him, or sorry, Raheem Morris used him as an edge player and that 5-man front, and I like that. It's nice that they're using his versatility as a defensive lineman, a linebacker, a safety, and they're saying like they could start right away, and I won't mind that. I don't think he has a chance to like start as Sam linebacker because I think that's covered by Nick Martin with Dre and Fred, but I think he does have a chance to be like that defensive lineman at least, who's going to be very good. And I think he could have a big impact for this team. I think that's the reason why they drafted him because of his versatility, and I think he has a big impact. He'll have a big impact. He'll at least add some pressure, so he'll be like that Micah Parsons kind of thing. Like I'm not saying he is, but I'm just saying like he's just gonna be like that. Like Micah Parsons was that linebacker, but he also like pressures. So I'm just saying he's just acting like that kind of. So I think he could be that. So I like what Jane Duggar is doing. I think he's doing having a great camp, and I can't wait to see what he does in the season and maybe in preseason too on August 13th against the Titans, which I'm very excited on. As for Carver, and then moving on to Carver Willis, he was able to be the second string left guard, and he has a chance to start. And like I said, I wanted Carver Willis to start, but I didn't really. But after the injury, I kind of was down a little bit. But now after he came back, he now has a chance to start because Robert Jones, he's kind of like a journeyman. Connor Colby, I think he's the second right guard behind Dominic Pooney. So I could see Carver Willis starting, and I think he is good. I think he's a versatile guy. He could play left guard, he could play center, and he's just a very good pass protector. He's a good run blocker. Like he's just very good, and he's just young. Also, I just want to add youth because you have Colton McKissitt, who's kind of a bit getting old. He's like in his 30s right now. You obviously have Trent Williams, Jake Brendel. So it'd be nice to add like another young player instead of us adding an old player in Robert Jones. But I think Robert Jones can be like that left guard backup. So I won't mind that. So I think Carver Willis has a chance to start for the 49ers, and I would love to see it. But moving on to the 49ers depth chart as the last thing I want to see, as the depth chart is Brock Purdy. This is unofficial as Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, Curtis Rourke, and Adrian Martinez. So no surprise there. I really thought Rourke was gonna be the second quarterback at first because Mac Jones didn't had a good camp, but I guess they trust Mac Jones, so I guess they trust him. As for the running backs here, this one's a bit interesting as Christian McCaffrey, Jordan James, Kalen Black, Patrick Taylor Jr., Sincere McCormick, and Kahili Herbert. So far those two are injured right now. Jordan James, Kalen Black, but when they do come back, they'll probably be there. So right now it would probably be Patrick Taylor Jr., Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Taylor Jr., Sincere McCormick, and Kahili Herbert. Yikes. Which is good not exactly a good team, so I don't think it's that good. As for the receivers here, you have Mike Evans, you have D-Rob, and then you have Debo, and then you have Cowing, Watkins, Christian Kirk, Dejon Stribling, Junior Bergen, Malik Turner, Will Pauling, Trenton Irwin, Wesley Grimes, Kahil Hodge. It's interesting that they're not starting Stribling. Instead, they're just starting Robinson, which I don't understand why. Because like they both have been having a great training camp, but I'd rather just stick with Stribling, who's just younger, who's better. But I mean, Robinson does know the system, so I could see why. But this is unofficial, so it's just a bit of a surprise, though. Jake Tonjes, Luke Farrell, Raheem Rucci, and Josiah DeGura at tight end, so no surprise there. So Josiah DeGura, I would rather prefer DeGura as third tight end instead of Hayden Rucci because I feel like he's better. Josiah DeGura, he's more experienced also. The offensive linemen, Trent Williams, Robert Jones, Jake Brendel, Pooney, McKissitt. And then the backups are Vidarian Lowe, Carver Willis, Drake Nugent, Connor Colby, Austin Pleasant. So that one's a bit interesting. I don't know about Vidarian Lowe, so he's kind of injured right now, so it'll probably be Enriquez Cruz Jr. So it's kind of interesting that Drake Nugent is a surprise center. He was out of Michigan. He was with the championship Michigan from 2024 2023, and it's interesting that he is the second backup to Jake Brendel. So that's kind of a bit interesting. And Brett Toth is the third one. So it's kind of interesting to see that. I like the others starters overall because I don't think that anything needs to change except for Vadarian Lowe because he's injured. So Enriquez Cruz Jr. would obviously take over that position. As for fullback, Kyle Juszczyk, that's obvious. And then left edge is Keon White, which is interesting. I don't know about that one. Also Digizua, Alfred Collins, Nick Bosa. Then you have Romello Height, Sebastian Valdez, CJ West, Sam Okuanu. Then you have KJ Henry, Bryson Eason, Halton, Quentin Bell. This is kind of an interesting one because I really thought that Romello Height deserved to be the starter over there. And then Sebastian Valdez, I feel like Halton should be there just because he's was kind of their fourth round pick and he's been showing out and been very good. But Valdez has been good, but I think he's more better as a practice squad guy. And this defensive tackle room is just so stacked. But I would prefer Halton over Valdez, or I prefer Halton than Valdez. So I prefer those guys. So I'd rather do that. As for this one, I'm kind of mad at this a little bit. I mean, it is unofficial, but I'm kind of mad at this as Luke Gifford, Fred Warner, and Dre Greenlaw. Jaden Duggar, Tana Bethune, Nick Martin, and then you have Wallow, and then you have Graham, Wallow, and Larry Worth III. I'm kind of mad at this because one, it's just I don't know why you want to stick with Luke Gifford. He's not even good at coverage. Like he's not the best guy in coverage. He's just not that good. Okay, like he's not even that good anymore, and I just don't think he's just a talented player. I just don't like him, and he just hasn't been good lately. So I really don't like what he. I really don't like Luke Gifford. Like he's just more that special teams guy. I rather prefer like Nick Martin, or I'll even prefer Jane Duggar. I won't mind, but I would prefer Nick Martin all day. So I don't mind that. So Ronaldo Green, Dion Dornor, Upton Stout, backups. Now this one I kind of don't like the backup ones. Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs. Now those two are fine. I think they are very talented cornerbacks. They're veterans. They can help. But Darrell Luter Jr. He just has like I really liked him back then, like when we drafted him, and he had like some potential, but I really knew that he wasn't gonna be like a backup or even like a starter. Like okay, starter was really outdone. Like he's just not good. Like he busts his coverage. He's very slow. He can't break up passes. He's not good in coverage. He can't get interceptions. Like he's just not that good. And I would rather prefer like Ephesians Price sock over him because he's taller than him, he's more physical, he's more better than Darrell Luter Jr. He does the exact same thing that Darrell Luter Jr. has done. So I only prefer Jacob Robinson. I don't even think Darrell is even gonna make it to even the practice squad. I prefer Jacob Robinson over him. So I rather prefer Ephesians Price sock than Darrell Luter Jr. As for and then the safeties, Jair Brown, Malik Mustafa. Then you have Marquis Siegel and Saran Neal. So I think the free safety is kind of a bit open right now. I think Siegel could probably take that. I could move Siegel and move him there. And then you have Saran. And then as for the free safety backup, this is kind of open. I like to do Jalen Stroman or Ashton Davis just because they're special teams guys. So I wouldn't mind that. But Saran Neal is also, but they're also younger. So I wouldn't mind if those two were on there. So I wouldn't mind that. But I mean, I really don't mind Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa. It's just I think Marquis Siegel kind of proved himself, and he was better than Jair Brown. So, but anywho, as for the special teams, you have Corliss Waitman, Eddie Pinheiro, and then long snappers John Weeks there, and then you have Jack Bailmeister who was out of Texas. You have the kick returner of Debo. Cowing is right behind him. And then you have the punt returner in Cowing, and then you have Junior Bergen there. Then you see Patrick Taylor Jr. So it looks like Patrick Taylor Jr. and Debo Samuel will be returning kicks, possibly. I don't know if Debo's going to play the start the game against the Tennessee Titans. We'll have to see. But if he isn't, then I would see Cowing probably taking over, as you can see over here. But as of right now, this is just unofficial depth. This is just the unofficial right now. So we'll just have to see how this but we'll have to see how this goes. Overall, today's training camp was had a lot of fights in it. A lot of surprises too. A good day for equal sides of both offense and defense. Nick Bosa, so worried. Some might have to trade him. I'm sorry. So there's a lot of worry right now, but overall it was an okay training camp. It's not very bright right now, especially for Nick Bosa and McCaffrey being possibly out for 8 games. So we'll just have to hope that they can get better. So that is it. That is it for today. So make sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below on what you think of day 11 of training camp with the tight end so far is and so far. And this is Bay Area Sports Report signing off.